Fire Emblem always tells its own story with every issue. With each new game we travel to new regions, meet new actors, play new characters, and start new quests. Sure, the mission is often as mundane and over the top as saving the world, but each playthrough is a new experience. In many ways, Fire Emblem Engage is a continuation of that philosophy, offering a new character in a lair and a new land to explore with new friends and enemies. Elsewhere, Engage is the biggest exception to the rule in Fire Emblem history, delving into the depths of the series' back catalog to pay homage to its past heroes. This is a perfect summary of Engage in general. It's old, but it's new. It's fresh yet familiar. It's Fire Emblem, but maybe not as we know it. Like many of us, I'm looking forward to Engage directing Fire Emblem: Three Houses. The latest mainline game launched the series to a new level of popularity, selling nearly 4 million copies and becoming a critical darling. Engage isn't interested in guys like Three House. It takes some social cues from it, but it feels more like an upgrade from the previous game, a sequel to Awakening compared to Three Houses. From a gameplay perspective, it's a great shot. It's much richer than Three Houses, both in terms of individual battles and the way you approach the map, choose missions, and narrative. However, the less violent parts of the game, often the most charismatic and engaging, proved unsuccessful. First, let's go to the battlefield. The basic structure is the same as always. You lead a team in a tactical battle on a grid, and if the central character Alir falls, you lose. In addition to choosing the difficulty level, you can also choose whether Alir's death is permanent. You have the ability to turn back time, but it's limited, so use it wisely. Different units have different attacks that determine their effectiveness. If you've played any Fire Emblem, you already know all of this. But Engage produced one intentional change and one possibly accidental change. This is a game of contrasts. Deliberate change is a participatory mechanism. Throughout the campaign, you'll meet 12 former heroes who can be called out of the ring for a limited time to grant additional powers. In addition to offering access to their most iconic weapons, they also have special moves. Sigurd allows you to run through multiple enemies while dealing damage to multiple enemies at the same time. Roy uses a flaming sword that damages enemies in an arc. Micah drains the wearer's health, but restores the health of all other allies. This adds an extremely complex tactical layer to contend with. First, there is the question of when the badges, as they are called, will be released. Mow the grass early in hopes of recharging for a while, or save them all to quickly take down stronger bosses. There's also the matter of which fighter is best for each ring approach. You don't want Sigurd heading your healers into battle or Micaiah draining your tank. Unfortunately, the involvement of the logo in the story is a bit high. The whole plot is about collecting rings, stealing them, and then collecting them again. And while it's fun to see how the bosses will use the tags, it's also frustrating to get used to Martha and then suddenly deal with Nohi. Sonomia's lack of influence is further accentuated by the fact that Byleth only appears in the middle of the story, without much flourish, and doesn't really take part in the proceedings. Then came an unexpected change. It is very difficult to assign new courses to your unit. In theory, it's easy. There are two types of stamps that you can find, win or buy, to change your rank. However, it doesn't take long for them to start shutting down. Most of the characters I meet at the beginning and appear in every scene don't fight past the third or fourth encounter because there are better fighters and no way to level them. Some of the side quests also allow you to pick up some newbies, but they didn't show up at all because they were so weak, even though I picked them up quickly. It's not just about fighting enough for them to improve and be able to level up. Previously, I was able to give one of my units a sniper rank. For the next 8 or 9 games, they were my MVP every time. They extorted anyone who stood in their way, but slowly other units gained a new career and surpassed them. My snipers, while important in every match, went nowhere and eventually fell out of the starting lineup. This has to do with the game's major failing. Everything outside of combat is so lifeless. The back-to-base activity was okay, but also boring after a while. Of course, no more boring than the actors themselves. There are no less than 4 characters with "Ain't I cute? I'm cute, aren't I? Tell me I'm cute." And even guys with more mature personalities like Fagado, Chloe, and Marin, whether with Eller or elsewhere, have relentlessly boring supporting episodes. This is where the gameplay should shine, but the writing is fascinatingly dated. I've played a lot of Western translated JRPGs and I know there's a lot of friction. But everyone here says so much and none of it is worth listening to. There are some late game scenes that both darken and show sincerity, but they immediately undercut lines that would make Kingdom Hearts blush about how the power of friendship will triumph. Or some other shit. I was deeply invested in my Sonomia classmate, which was a disappointing step back. It might be the lineup here, which without the hierarchy of the previous entry is much larger and more difficult to balance effectively. It could also be that the writing, both plot and dialogue, is terrible. I suspect the latter. This is the best Fire Emblem game ever. No exaggeration. I haven't played all of the first games, but I've seen enough to plant my flag on this one. But fully feel. On the list, It's frustrating in the extreme. I just do not care about these characters and their plight, and even the ones where I might have, the game offers me no reason to invest whatsoever. I highly recommend Fire Emblem Engage because the gameplay and battles are stellar. Be prepared to skip a lot at the end. Our scores are 4 out of 5. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe and support my channel.